Hello, good morning, beautiful people of 4B. Oh, good afternoon. Sorry, we're 2 minutes over the threshold. My apologies. But thank you so much for being here today. I hope you are well. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Matthew and Evan, hello and good morning. Afternoon, hello, welcome. Ryan, hello, how are we? And Jack and Simi are here as well. Hello. So excited to be with you folks already on this Monday. A B week, if you will, although a shortened one, as we will not be together on Friday. This is the best shirt so far? Oh, man. All right. Now I know you're a Star Wars fan. I'm a little embarrassed. I got an email from some company. It was like, hey, make sure you buy Star Wars. And I was like, wait a minute, Star Wars is out? I didn't know. So I'm going to try and order it online and pray that it can come because while I don't remember having super fond feelings about Rise of Skywalker, I would kind of like to watch it again. So that's on my list. But I'm glad. You know what? Maybe over spring break, if you get bored, you can go back and take screenshots of all my YouTube videos and you can do a poll to see which is the best shirt. Will, Jesse, Braden, hello and good morning. Maria and Gianna, I'm sorry, I didn't see you guys there. Good morning as well. Interesting. Patrick Lane, you are the winner. And see if people can figure out why. Interesting. I think I got the shirt at Five Below, actually, which is why it's faded and shrinking. So did everybody have a good weekend? There you go, Braden. Nailed it. Yep, Pat was the only person to capitalize his name. Come on, you guys should all capitalize the first letter of your name. It's a sign of respect. Daniel, hello. Good morning. Sign of respect and professional. Sorry, I thought that was an interesting thing. I don't know why. I just find weird stuff like that interesting. Oh, man. Bones are creaking. That's coming up. All right. Yes, I know. I've been correcting myself, but it still feels like morning. This is I don't know, this whole schedule mentally is still kind of weird to me. And so the best way I can explain it is that every class from 9 to 1, that time frame, it feels like a Friday. And then from 1 o'clock on, it feels like Sunday. And it's a total mind screw because like I'm hyped after all my classes and I do some more work, but then like the evening sets in and I'm like, oh yeah, we got school tomorrow. But it doesn't feel like that at 1 o'clock, and I don't know why. You don't like capital letters? Guess what? I'm gonna go chicken butt, and then say, yeah, I did enjoy the Force Awakens quite a bit. I did not care for the Last Jedi at all. Actually, I know it's popular to hate on that movie, but I really didn't like the way it was made. I know that sounds awful, but didn't care for it. But I will be excited to watch the last one again. Hopefully today. I'm going to do same day delivery. Maybe treat myself to some video games as well. Because why not? What else am I going to do? Sarah's having technical issues. Oh no. I think she had technical issues last time. Oh no, glasses. Well, I guess you can listen. And Gianna, if you got nothing going on over break, you got a lot of time to watch all the Star Wars movies. Your mom doesn't want you to waste contacts doing schoolwork? How how does Oh no. Jess is blind. Well, you're typing well, which is good. Um Oh, Sarah's here. Good. Technical difficulties obliterated. I'm glad you're here, Sarah. Welcome. And good afternoon to you. I hope you are well. Empire, of course, is the best one. It goes 213. And by 213, I mean of the original trilogy. So if we want to use original numbers, it's going to go 5, 4, 6, 3, 1, 2, 7, 9, 8. There you go. There's the order. I confuse myself with it, but that's how I feel about it. Oh, right. God forbid we waste contacts on days where we have school and stuff. All right. Well, as long as you can type and see, we don't have much today. I did want to do a discussion on the film Spotlight, so I got a few questions queued up, and I'm going to throw them in the chat. I feel I'd be remiss if I know that project was due for you on Friday, which is not a day we met, and so if we didn't spend some time at least talking about it a little bit, then I just feel like it'd be kind of silly. Then what's the point of giving you work if we're not going to discuss it? So I wanted to take some time to go through that, and then just give you an update on what's next. In fact, here's what I'll do. Because I know that the video is getting to you 25 seconds after the words leave my mouth, I'm going to put the first question in the chat now so I can give you some time to respond. We'll start with this question. Oh, I have it muted. I don't have me muted. There we go. Okay. So here's questions coming in soon. Here's what our outlook looks like, and you can listen while you're answering this in the chat, so we can just go through that quickly. There will be a very, very, very short survey assignment posted today. Actually, it's going to go live in like 4 minutes. That is just looking for some feedback, suggestions, and well-being on your behalf. And so my goal is to not make that taxing. It realistically shouldn't take you more than 6 minutes. I thought with break on the horizon, one, I wanted to see heading into that break where you were, like where your head's at, essentially, with all this digital learning stuff, because I know it's been a difficult transition for some people. Some people are doing really well with it, and so I just wanted to get an idea of where you were in your headspace, and I thought it would be a good opportunity then to get some feedback from you in regards to what my digital teaching looks like. I don't have much to go on. I made some decisions on what I thought was the right and best thing to do for you guys. But I don't know what other teachers are doing. I don't know what most of the other teachers are doing. Obviously, me and some teachers are keeping close and sharing good practices and stuff, but maybe you're in a class and their teacher's doing something really awesome and that's great for you. I want to know what that is. Maybe you don't like the way that we normally meet, and I would like to hear that as well. So that'll give me an opportunity over break to retool some things and kind of map out what's next and try and do it in a way that's going to be more conducive for you guys to be successful, as well as get working on time and make sure you're understanding things. All right. That being said, as I'm still hoping people are queuing up answers in the chat there. When we get back from break, I know there's been no official word yet, and I have no insider information, I promise. I'm just going off my own suspicions that we are not going to be back in the building after spring break. I know that was the original plan. Well, the original plan was 2 weeks, and then it was after break, and I don't think that's going to happen. Again, nothing to base it on, but I put us in a position to transition to an online editing platform, which will start to go over when we get back from break. So it's going to be a slow rollout into that. I think the biggest obstacle is once you get past the tech hurdle of making sure you're signed up the right way and you've been enrolled, so you're already in it. Logging in and getting used to the interface is just kind of refreshing our memory on how editors work, because I know it's been a while since we've sat down and even used Premiere. So we'll go through that. That will probably take a class or two, and then I'm going to start to develop some simple at-home video projects that you can do, knowing that you've got limited space, you've got limited people. I'm trying to come up with things that are interesting and fun and creative, but don't involve too much that it just becomes way too much work to do by yourself at home. So those are on the horizon, just to give you an update there. As I now jump back to the chat, and let's just see where we're at in regards to the question: has the film changed your perspective on trusting authority? And authority, and I just gave some examples, whether it religion, to parallel the film, government, media, teachers, parents, right? Authority being anyone in a position of power. And obviously we hope that they use that power responsibly. Okay. Let's see. Ryan's stance hasn't changed, but I'm curious, Ryan, where your stance is on trusting authority figures. Will says no as well. Some bad apples hasn't affected his opinion on authority as a whole, which is a good stance to take, right? Like, if one person did something terrible and all of a sudden you're like, well, now I'm not trusting anybody because that person represents everyone, then that would be a little irresponsible. So, Will, I'm glad to hear you say that at least you're staying open to the different types and different people. Jack says it hasn't. Jess says yes, because we're not sure what's completely reliable. And to some degree, that's part of that trust, right? Is when an authority figure tells you something, depending on your level of trust in that person and their position as a whole, you either choose to acknowledge that as truth, or question it, or just disregard it. So the thing there, you can always question. Disregarding factual things because you don't like them or they don't agree with you is where things start to get a little murky. So, if I were to come out and make a bold statement that was true, but you guys were all like, no way. Think of our relationship as a class. If I came out and said something, would you go, wait, really? Would you believe that without questioning? Obviously, that's going to change teacher to teacher or person to person. Sarah, really astute response there. And I appreciate you sharing what you did in your answer. I was reading that yesterday, which, by the by, there are like one or two things I just, as a whole, probably should go over about the film. You guys as a class did a fantastic job with going through those questions and answering everything. So thank you so much for the care you put into that. And Sarah, thank you for sharing in that answer yesterday. And I think you hit it there. It does make you think about how easy it is to abuse others in any position of authority, right? Like, you need to have that discipline and self-control to kind of acknowledge, if you are in a position of power, that it is probably easy to take advantage of other people. Sadly, maybe our human instincts kick in a little bit and say, well, if I can make things easier for me, then I don't care if I make it worse for other people. But the responsible person with a good moral fiber and will make an ethical decision to say, I'm not going to do that because it's the wrong thing to do. And sometimes it's as simple as that. Patrick says no because he can't trust proper authority. Patrick, I feel like there's a story there. Did something happen where, that trust was blown for you? I'm curious. Evan has added skepticism, understandably so. So, Murray, interesting you brought media into your reply. Yes, it changed my perspective because it shows that the media doesn't always show the whole truth. So, using just the story in the film, was there a truth that the media didn't show? Because I thought the film did a good job of showcasing how the newspaper was making sure they were going about telling the story the right way. Oh, Patrick, thank you for correcting me. I read that incorrectly. Yes, you can trust proper authority. Proper authority. See, but even there you were selective in your wording, right? See, proper authority, I think, is interesting phrasing because it means, at least from your perspective, you've deemed them to be a proper authority, as opposed to someone who claims authority, but you don't have, you don't think that trust is there to give them an authority. And I think your phrasing, even if it was a subconscious thing, speaks to that. So that's good. I was waiting all week for someone to drop the Uncle Ben quote. There it is. Thank you, Sarah. Oh, okay, Maria. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, and the church is obviously the movie was based on a real story, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm harping on religion or in this case Catholicism and the church. As someone who is not very religious, but doesn't practice any of that, it's. I think with any religion, right? The I guess the crutch that any religion relies on in order to have people become affiliated with it or follow or practice is that they are by default always rooted in good. And once you get people to believe that, right, at all costs, the church is good, the church is good, the church does good. It's, it speaks of beliefs and morals and values, and it practices the teachings of God. And okay, it would be really hard for someone to be a part of that world and then kind of raise an eyebrow to that. It's almost like, and they made a good point of saying, hey, the city of Boston, right, most of them, more than half, right, it was 53% of their readership was Catholic, and these are people that probably, without a shadow of a doubt, would not turn to the church and say they're doing something wrong in any point. And yet here we have the church kind of knowing that and allowing some of these shady dealings to happen. So, random comment, but I loves them movie. Gianna, do you mean you loved the movie Spotlight? Are you referencing something else? Not really sure there. So interesting. I was just kind of curious how, and some of you answered it in your questions, your discussion questions at the end of the packet. I think it's interesting to see how people's eyes were kind of opened a little bit. Because of some things that maybe they knew about but weren't sure of the capacity or depth. I think it was interesting. I think, Dan, you had written in your answers that, you had heard about stuff going on, and you referenced South Park, which I think is really interesting because, of course, they didn't just pull that out of nowhere, even though it seems like it would be something that they would. So your exposure to it, even in its simple existence, was through a comedy cartoon, and this movie obviously shed a little bit more light on things, but I thought it was interesting that your exposure to the whole thing was from a different type of media. That was kind of really cool to hear, but it seemed like most people thought that their eyes were a little bit more open and in tune with how they see the world a little bit differently now. So my question then to follow that up would be, and Gianna, I'm really glad you loved the movie. Most people had commented that they didn't think they were going to like it, but they ended up really liking it. And I know it was a slightly more difficult watch. Especially like early on. I think once you and some people even commented it, yeah, like an hour into it, I was hooked. But that first like 40 minutes can be really confusing. If we're not paying attention to names and things like that. So I was glad to see that most people thought that it was really good. I had one or two had say that they thought it was inappropriate. I had one or two say that they actually appreciated the fact that I was willing to show something without you know without kid gloves, I think was the term they used, in that I wasn't shying away from something because of the subject material being a little inappropriate. I didn't. It's difficult to discuss the movie without talking about the bad side of a religion and child molestation and all that stuff. And so I'm hoping that you guys were able to handle the material responsibly, and it seemed like you did, and I'm sure you did, right? Because that's my trust in you, is that you were able to do that. So through the second question in there, just curious if the film changed your stance on the importance of proper reporting and media's involvement in our society. I'll pause for a sec, give you guys a minute. There we go. Jack says it made him realize why good articles take a while to come out after the event has happened. Yeah. And I think if you not overlook, but if you forget for a minute that the story took place almost 20 years ago, I think there's such a rush to be the first to break a story, to talk about a story now, that part of what falls by the wayside is the quality and integrity of the writing and reporting, right? Because it's kind of like that ratio of, and we talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the year when it comes to editing, right? Speed to quality. The faster you go, the bigger hit on your quality you get. The more you slow down, the more you can increase that quality. And so I think reporters suffer that same thing where they want to get it out there, get it out there, get it out there to say that we broke it first, we said it first. And you don't get the level of reporting. And they mentioned a few times in the film, Spotlight as a team maybe does one or two stories a year, a few stories a year, because they do take several months to get all their information and facts straight before they write on it. Right? So when we think about reporting or news, we think about like a news anchor or like someone on location reporting about something that had just happened. And we tend to forget about, well, who are the reporters that are doing these big, in-depth stories? They exist, but because they take so long to build these stories, they kind of aren't as prominent, I should say. Sarah feels it's extremely important to the media to report what is truthful and important. Now, important, the news will make a decision to say, is this important? Is this not? Do we think people need to know this information? And if so, then yes, we will report on it. But they obviously they should be living in the truth. I don't think anyone would report anything that is incorrect intentionally. They may report something without having all the information, all right, which could be a danger as well. But I don't think they would say, well, this isn't true, so let's report it as truth. I think they may voice their opinion or speculate about some things that that start in fact but veer towards opinion, and that's where things get dangerous. more respect for investigators and reporters? Absolutely, Evan. Simi, I agree. Um, the collaborative effort here was really important because it helped. I mean, this could not have been done by one person. On top of which, the amount of effort and energy they put into interviewing people and getting the stories that they did. Not to mention, and it's not really delved upon in great detail in the film. And I think intentionally, right? I don't think we want to detract from what they're reporting on, but you did see little snippets of like how they were impacted personally, and I think it's great to see that um, at the level they showed it in the film because we don't want to again detract, and it's not about the reporters, right? They're doing their job. But you saw the relationship between Sasha and her grandmother, right? She mentioned her grandmother goes to church 3 days a week, and that just by virtue of Sasha doing her job, it was going to crush her grandmother. The researcher Matt, who halfway through the film had found out that one of the priests that was relocated um, because he was caught abusing children lives around the corner from his house. And there was a really great moment in the film where he kind of had that oh shit moment, right? And he gets up and he leaves his house. And I remember they do a really really nice tracking shot because you're just kind of like, where's he going? And then he rounds the corner and he's just staring at this house. And he goes back home and he tapes the signs on the fridge with the house to tell his kids, hey, don't. But like he's concerned. There's one of these people living literally down the street from him, right? Like we saw those moments, and I think it was really nice to see that through all that they persevered because they know that the truth was way more important. Awesome. You guys have some really insightful responses here, which is wonderful. I'm going to ask as just kind of like a blanket statement. Um, I'm just kind of curious to see if anyone will be brave here. Uh, so, as I was typing there, I apologize for the gap. Was there anything in the film that you didn't understand or were unclear on? I know sometimes, like you can kind of get to the end and go, okay, like I understood what happened, but there were parts where I was a little confused on, and there was one or two questions um, in the packets that came up pretty frequently that people were a little confused on, and so I'm just kind of curious if there's anything that was a little unclear that you would like me to clarify, or as a class we can talk about a little bit. So I'll pause for that one. One thing that while you're answering, I just want to point out, I guess, anecdotally. So I was, of course, thinking about the film over the weekend, and I did, discussions with my A-Day classes on Friday. And so when I was going back and I was grading some stuff Saturday, Sunday, I was thinking about how the film told its story, and they did a really subtle job in kind of cueing the audience into things kind of subconsciously, and I'm curious if anyone picked up on it. So there were two main lawyers that were prominent in the film, Garbinian and Michaelish. And think back to the film for a second and think about those two characters' physical appearance and think about their work environment. Now, the film made a point to bring attention to this, but not directly. And I think it was so smart by the choice of the filmmakers. Think about how we see these characters. Okay. Michaelish is younger, arguably good looking, well kept, nice clothes. All right. Where Garbinian is a little worn down, older, a little less well groomed, Clothes are professional, but a little a little baggy. They're not like he's not wearing the really fancy 3-piece suit that the other guy's wearing. And then think of their law offices, right? Anytime we see Michaelish, we have one scene in the lobby of his office, which is in a high rise tower, or they're sitting in his office or a conference room with the big glass windows that overlook the city. All right, compare that to Garbinian, who has a tiny office, is littered with papers and files everywhere. Has one secretary. Uh, think of that visual, all right, as it pertains to the level of power that each entity holds. Michaelish represented the church, and that law office was much nicer. He Garbinian represented the victims, and think of what that looks like there. So it's like a subtle thing, but it kind of shows that the church has got money to spend to get these high priced lawyers where victims do not. All right. As it mentioned in the film, the types of families the types of families that these priests targeted could never afford a lawyer like that. And I'd seen this film a few times and of course watched it before I gave this assignment and came up with the questions. But like that didn't even dawn on me until like Saturday afternoon. I was like, that's brilliant. I think that's just a brilliant storytelling thing to do where it was there and the film really didn't bring any attention to it, but it did a really great job of highlighting the discrepancies and imbalance in power there, which was really cool. So no one's chimed in on question number 3 yet. If there's anything in the film that we didn't understand or were unclear on, if you do, ask. Don't be embarrassed. Trust me, I had to pause and check on some stuff as I was watching too, just to make sure that I wasn't going to say or ask anything that I didn't have an answer to. I'll pause for a sec. Sorry, I got a little anecdotal with my film observation. Everyone's so quiet. Hello. Thank you, Braden, for chiming in. Yeah, if you guys understand, I'm not trying to get you to say that I don't understand anything. I just was curious because there were some questions that people were a little confused on. And so I wanted to see if anyone just needed some clarification for the betterment of their own understanding. Because I left some pretty thorough notes for folks throughout if they got some things wrong. So halfway through, I was like, well, maybe we can just discuss this. But I figured, I didn't want to go through the packet question by question because, well, I wanted to respect your time, and it seems like most of us got the gist. Cool. I'm glad that if you got, and of course if you do, or that you think of them later, let me know. All right, awesome. Well, here's the name of the game, folks. As we can wrap a little early today, so you'll notice that on Classroom here. This assignment was posted. All right, super short form to fill out, just asking you how you're doing. Like I said, it's probably not going to take you more than 6 or 7 minutes. Um, just a few things, a lot of things to check off. So it's not like a lot of thorough answers until the end, and those are optional. But I thought it would give you an opportunity to say how you're feeling about things and give me some feedback as far as how our classes have been going and what you would like to see differently or done differently. Um, and that'll be due at the start before the start of next class. All right, as per tradition, everything is due at 11:59 for us, so you know that you've got until really literally the minute before class to get things in. This is going to be the first grade in the fourth marking period, so I figured it would be an easy way to start off that marking period with a hundo, and I guess that's it. So we'll go over that like super quick on Wednesday just to have some discussions on it, and then we'll just say our goodbyes or hang for a bit because that will be the last time that we will have a class until we're back from spring break. So um, that being said, I'll hang for a bit here. But if you guys want to go, you got other stuff to take care of. We got 22 minutes left. You can finish this survey in well under half of that time and still get done a little early, which would be my recommendation. But I will formally say that we're finished for the day, and I'll hang back if people want to chat. You're more than welcome to, of course. Otherwise, we will see you guys very quickly on Wednesday, and then we'll say our goodbyes before break. So I'll be here, but otherwise, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and we'll talk soon. All right, see y'all. Ryan, no school on Friday unless things have changed somehow. Whoops, I'm on the right thing. Okay. Um, no, Friday is Good Friday. So we are off Friday all of next week and then back on the 20th, which is the Monday after Easter. So there is no school on Friday. Okay, you got me. Now I'm intrigued. A psychic predicted corona and she got everything right so far. What? Um what? How when did the psychic predict corona? Because I mean, our government's known about it since December. They didn't do anything until the middle of March, but they knew about it. I'm just kind of curious when she knew about it. Share your source, Ryan. And then Sarah, just to clarify, Friday is is the first day of spring break, so there is no official class on Friday. I don't know if specific teachers are doing anything to round out the week, so I don't want to speak for everyone, but it is technically a we are on holiday. I it could last till summer, but if it lasts until summer, it's not going away over summer and then coming back in the fall. If it's still here in the summer, it's going to be here through the summer. I mean, diseases don't take vacations, and people travel in the summer, so even if we're on the downswing, it could spike back up over the summer. Would be my fear. 12 years ago? Did she predict the name as well? But then you can argue that like the Mayans have been predicting the end of the world for like centuries now, and one of these days they're going to be right. So it's only a matter of time. The question is, how many times did she predict it since then? Oy. Oh God, it hurts so much. Wow, interesting. All right, well, I got something to look up now for the rest of the day. Cool. Oh, this chair sucks. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. All right, gang. I'm going to end the stream now as I go research psychics and figure out what's going on here as I'm starting to get an influx of some work emails that need to take care of. But we will meet and chat again on Wednesday. Until then, be happy and healthy. Get outside. It looks beautiful. I haven't been out yet or even opened a window, but it looks gorgeous. So get outside if you can and revel at least in our downswing of work for the week. And we'll see you again on Wednesday. All right. Bye, y'all.